are back in the house, not out on the water. We're not at ICAST, but we're going to talk about it. Everybody else and their brother, including the real test and probably his sister, are talking about it. So we're going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about this bait too. And this actually has something to do with both. Not this one specifically, but just MegaBass Baits in general. And you guys feel free to comment also. I think MegaBass may be the most copied company in the fishing industry of any of them. And you guys comment, do you think the JDM baits in general are the most copied, or like where is all the innovation coming from? Is it from Japan and then it just trickles down to other companies that aren't necessarily in Japan? I'm not sure if every bait, I know a lot of reels are designed in Japan, made over in other countries, not Japan. And I'm not sure if the baits also do that. And I know everything nowadays is made in China, or back in the day, Taiwan, Bangladesh, all over, right? So I won't go into where something's made, but when someone comes out with a design, now it's hard to say that, oh, well, you can't make a similar bait, but when you like directly use the main things and copy it is where this knockoff term, copy, and that kind of stuff comes from. So if you're not familiar with Bass and Bonsai, or the terms and or knockoff and all that, I guess I'll try to explain the way I take it and my thoughts on it. Since everybody is coming across Facebook, YouTube videos, everything's out there talking about ICAST, and for several years now, I mean, those in the know, we've seen it. It's been going on forever, like since the beginning of time. That's why they had the whole thing where patents were started in the first place. Somebody's like, hey, you can't do that. So, you know, laws and stuff like get a patent going, right? So it's nothing new. It's just, it seems to be growing in how blatantly people are doing it and all that kind of stuff. Do we agree with it? Don't we agree with it? Like, is it ethical? Not like what's right, what's wrong? There's so many other things, honestly, in this world to worry about than if a bait company is getting copied by another one or not. But since this is Bass and Bonsai, and we haven't done bonsai in a long time, and it's hard to copy a bonsai tree, but there's, in bonsai, there's several styles copied over the years. Now, you can't really necessarily go get a patent on a style or a tree or, you know, anything like that. But it's when you're trying to basically cut corners and copy someone else's design to make yourself a profit, is a gray area, right? So, and I will show you one of the first guys that I've really heard talking about it, and he's probably not wanting to be known for talking about it, but if you go to the Hookup Tackle and watch his videos, he's talked about it at ICAST, like right there during filming for the last several years. I've been watching his videos anyway, about how he's like, dude, like, you know, not necessarily the spark shads yet anyway, or maybe they have, but this little dude right here, which is a copy from AliExpress of a size they don't even make in the mag draft. But, you know, they don't really mention any names. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but Chris Zalzane, who was with MegaBass, when he left, all of a sudden the company he went to, all of a sudden they've got their, you know, not a mag draft. It's a whole different name, but it's basically a mag draft. But it wasn't the first time that's happened to MegaBass. MegaBass sponsors people, or they so help develop something, and then when they leave, I guess they feel it their right. They can also have some kind of say in a bait being made, which is pretty much a copy of the one that was made. If you guys don't know, back in the day, and I've talked about it before, but you can get the MegaBass Vision 110, which is arguably the best jerkbait ever made. I've heard different sides to whether Rick Clunn helped develop that. You can hear that, I believe, whatty name that's also here in the Midwest supposedly had a hand in it. But regardless of who helped design that, it was a MegaBass bait. And Rick Clunn, when he went over to Lucky Strike, right? The RC stick stuff came out, and basically a direct copy of the Vision 110 was born. I believe that was the first one that is a true, like, it's honestly hard to distinguish those baits apart. I still feel the MegaBass makes the best Vision 110. There's copies that are very, very close, maybe work the same, but nobody has made a bait that beats that for that size, what it's supposed to do for that. Now, they beat themselves with the Vision 110 Plus 1 Junior, in my opinion. That little bait just will get you more bites than a Vision 110. A little smaller size, I think it still catches or stands a chance to catch about the same size fish, and then they've got the bigger ones and all that different stuff. So this kind of stuff's gone on forever. It's everybody's woke now, right? So there's more talk about it, more on the media. You know, it's just it's harder to get away with doing anything that somebody's not going to have a very negative thing to say about, especially when it's maybe wrong. It's the wrong thing to be doing. But you can go way back to, like, people have also commented, like, dude, every bait being made now, like most of your main bait companies that were around from the start, other maybe, I don't even know who. Definitely not Strike King. Strike King's been doing a long time now. Rapala. But they've also branched into making other baits that technically they didn't have anything to do with in their start and stuff like that. And they mainly made out of balsa. And you can go back to Storm. Storm was bought. So whoever bought those rights can say that they stake claim to how old something is. But in all honesty, everything that's out there nowadays is pretty much a copy of some other original manufacturer that made that back in the day. A lot of them are closed down. They start out like what you hear now in the swim bait world is like, oh, a garage bait. Well, most every bait you see out on the market started somewhere as a garage bait. Some guy just building it in a shed or a barn or wherever, made it for himself, started selling it to his buddies. Next thing you know, a company's buying it, or that those buddies started their own company or whatever, and stuff like that. So that's why the laws with the patents and all that. So I'm not getting into any of that. I'm not a lawyer. Definitely not smart enough to be a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer. But like old Clint said, a man's got to know his limitations. And I am smart enough to know that I don't need involved in none of that kind of stuff. So I just see a bait, whether it be here, Tackle Warehouse, Bass Pro Shops, AliExpress, local tackle store I walk in. If I like it and I want it for the price, I buy it. I don't care who made it, who it's copied off of, or what it does. I'll let everybody else can worry about all that other stuff. When I see a bait made by somebody, and it is definitely one I know is a copy, and they're charging more than the original cost, that's when I maybe will jump up and say something or whatever. And when I see one on AliExpress that is a copy and way cheaper, I may buy it and I may try it, and I'll give you guys my personal opinion. Is it as good? Is it as bad? Or whatever? And to this date, I've never found a copied MegaBass bait that is as good as original. Some are close. Those swim baits, not these. These are horrible so far. They will never be what a MagDraft is. And a MagDraft's not like, you know, it's a good bait. And let me find one. The closest thing I've probably found, and I've tweaked on these a little bit, but these little dudes from AliExpress are a pretty good working little bait, because I don't have any of the originals. Matt's got a couple of them, but they are a good, solid made bait that just flat out works, and it's like $3.50. Now, are laws being broken? I don't know. Ask me if I care. I don't care. Sorry, Ito. I don't care. If I made baits, if I was a garage maker making my own baits and different stuff, you know, that's just like I coined the phrase single lifestyle, the handle. I didn't invent a single handle on a bait casting reel. I started using it before anybody else on small BFS reels. All in the beginning to shave weight. I've talked about several times on the channel. So we know, you guys that follow the channel, somebody pops up with trying to say they came up with that right here at Old Charlie. He's the one that first started doing that. I put a name on it, Single Lifestyle, but at some point in time, who knows, they might start selling the little handles. I didn't try to go put a patent. How can you put a patent on something that was kind of made? You just stuck it on something else. It's like trying to put a patent on dually wheel setup because you put it on some different kind of vehicle on a car, and cars don't have dually wheels, but you know, that kind of deal. But I can get it where if you come up with the garage bait and you make it and then somebody copies it. But like I said, if you guys are in wanting to know, like you're definitely like, well, dude, I would like to know what baits are or not being copied. He doesn't come out and just tell you every one of them, but if you go back and watch, especially if you watch the hookup tackle at ICAST over the last few years, and they'll hold up a bait and go, does that look like a, you know, because they are in the industry and they don't want to make too many enemies, but they probably don't really care because he's got good hookup. Just like his name, the hookup tackle, he's good hooked up with the JDM stuff. He probably wouldn't even need to carry any of the other brands like Spro and whatever other stuff that he does carry, like Owner and all that kind of stuff. But everybody kind of in the industry has copied something. You know, Yuki Ito did not invent baits. He didn't invent a jerk bait. He just made the Vision 110 in the exact shape, you know, just that works as good as it does in the configuration. He kind of copied that slender. That is a copy to a certain extent of maybe the old Rebel. I don't even know who made the first true, like what, you know, just a long with a small little bill to jerk around bait. I don't even know who were the first ones to make that one. So, having said all that, feel free to comment below if you want to comment on any of that. I wanted to talk about this bait because I would have maybe never even bought any of these spark shads. And I don't even know why. I just, you guys know, I've gone down the whole rabbit hole. Like, I got some swim baits, and I was like, well, this little dude's like this one right here started. I'm like, how cheap? It's like cheap. I bought 2 or 3 of them for $3. I spent like $10. And for the first year or so, I fished them here and there. I had a crazy day the first time I tried them, and then just, I was like, okay. Then we went big time, right? We got the full-size ones, and then I'm like, well, I better start doing some soft baits too. And I spotted that one on a deck of a dude's boat, and I'm like, that is the coolest looking one I've seen. So far, this dude is horrible. Like, does not get bit as well as this dude. Well, this one did. And this one started to now. So just in the little time I've had with these baits like this, whether you're running them like this or just with the, you know, basically the belly weight to run a swim bait, you know, without the underspin. That little one right here, 5-inch. Now it's little for a true swim bait, but in the size of these, you know, it's a pretty big bulky bait. A lot of you guys may not want to throw this, you know, just because it averages about $2 a bait. So far, honestly, worth every penny. These things just catch fish. This one, same kind of deal, probably $2.50 a bait or so. Don't know if I'll be buying any more of these. They need to kick in and do something very quickly. I bought a couple colors in that one. Honestly, I don't think I've even thrown the all white one yet, and I need to start throwing all white because these baits, for whatever reason, in all white seem to do well too. So I'm not done with that bait, but I'm almost done with that bait. Here's what happened with this bait. Funny story. And that's another bait we'll talk about. And now there's some popping up out of the woodwork, all of a sudden coming out of nowhere that, oh, well, they've had this one in Japan for a long time. But, you know, the cover scat was the first one I've heard and seen a few guys talking about. Looks like a freaking pile of dung or a, you know, left testicle or I don't know what that thing is. It just looks nasty. But the cover scat catches fish. It's basically a gigantic Ned Riggy type thing. TRD type bait that just bass hadn't really seen that. It's just a blob of something down there and it starts moving around there. Oh, and they eat it because bass are, let's face it, bass are dumb. I know we love them, but they're dumb. If something's moving, they're going to assume it's alive. They're not, you know, they're not up in the know. They're not watching YouTube or Facebook and understanding what baits are, you know, clones or not. If it's moving, they're going to think it's alive. They're going to visually inspect it or inspect as much as they can. But if you give them a reaction movement, like it's like they can't resist to just lash out at it. So this bait, if you guys don't know about the spark shads, this is a 5-inch. They make a 4 and a 3. They just have a very good little wiggle, and this tail moves good. This one does similar things, but what this one does is when you, and I could probably weight it. I haven't tried that yet. When you stop it, it just does this. It's like, yoop. and it heads down with these on it, with that on it, like any kind of a belly thing. I haven't really tried it just weightless, or did I? But anyway, it just basically wants to. It just kind of knows heavy wants to do this. These, they'll tilt down, but then they start this like as they're going down, it's more like it looks like they're swimming down, not necessarily just unrealistically falling like this. Almost nothing just falls like that, like on a regular basis. So it has that going for it. But just pulling it or whatever, it just has a good swim. And as you can tell, even by this one, and definitely by this one, it was getting bit. You know, gets bit by little, big ones, whatever. This one that I fished for a while, and I think I briefly fished this one, rigged this way. I think I've caught one, maybe two fish. Not this bait, but this bait in this configuration, I don't know, I've caught 6, 8, 10, something like that. But what I was having happen was, like what I was afraid of, you'll get fish. I was literally pulling bass out of the water with the tail, and green sunfish and bluegill. They grabbed hold of that tail, and I was pulling them out of the water, so it was just a matter of time, as I knew, tail got ripped off. You know, tail's gone, throw the bait away, put a new one on, right? Well, watching the cover scat and all these other videos where the guys are talking about that, I'm like, this thing glides so good. And I didn't even try it without the tail, with the underspin. I took it off, and I was like, give me this. I rigged it up, and I flipped it backwards, because most of those, the cover scat, and a lot of those, they're actually designed like the old banjo minnow type thing, or the flying lure. If you guys remember the flying lure, not necessarily the banjo minnow. The flying lure was kind of a flat, what's the word I'm looking for? Tube. Flat tube, basically, type thing that you cast it out, and when you pulled it or whatever, when you let go, it would swim back away from you. And that's what I was trying to go with this. I'm like, well, if I put it on backwards, and I probably could if I tried it with the weight, without any weight or whatever. I haven't even tried it like that. So I just rigged it on this, and I tried it. Well, what I found was it doesn't really want to go anywhere away from you. But what it does with this weight right here, it has this perfect, almost like a Cinco-like, just talk about another bait that's copied, right? The Cinco. But it's a worm. It's a round worm. How can you say, like, oh, and they are shaped different. Anyway, back to this. So it just has this perfect, like, little, as it goes down. Well, and I figured it would have something like that because of the way it drifts, right? And it does get hit like that. Like, I felt like I'd get a couple hits, but I basically want to get to the bottom, and then I want to pull it up and let it do that again. And you can do it like that, work it across the bottom. And I caught a few of that. If you haven't just watched it, I just dropped the video an hour or so ago or whatever on fishing this one. I don't even know if I've released the video when I first started putting this one up against this one yet. But I want to get that video out there. But then once I reversed it, flipped it around with that much of the tail gone, I don't even know where the measurement is. If you wanted to, like, you got one that's already ripped up and you want to try this. But basically just like right there. And it probably doesn't even matter. You could probably go just where that gunk, like where almost anywhere where this bottom fin thing is. If you can tell that, right where almost where it ends, somewhere right in there is where this one got broke off at. I didn't like change it. I kind of did make it flat. It had a little bit of it was just a hair off, and I didn't have to do much really. What I found was, and if you haven't watched that video, go watch it. What you end up with is not only a bait that can be used like that. Drop it down, pull it, let it flop. Almost like if you remember me and Charles were doing whether you're what they call stroking a spoon. You can actually do that with the jig. You can do it with the rattle trap. You could probably do it with almost any bait that sinks. You probably do it with a spinner bait, chatter bait, whatever. But certain ones, just certain times of the year, certain time, they will get bit over other stuff. This thing gets bit that way. But what I found with it in this configuration, with that little bit of a belly weight, this thing has the craziest walking action. You just like a twitch bait, and go watch that video and you'll see. So what you can do is throw it out and let it sink, and you can be basically doing that at whatever depth you want to be at. And what makes it better than some of these swim baits and some of this other stuff, or any plastic that's designed to do that, first of all, you can use just your throwaway swim baits. I haven't tried it with one of these yet. I'm kind of waiting for one of the tails instead of ripping one off myself. I will try. Trust me, I will try those. But you know, you can just use repurpose your older soft plastics, and it does work very well. But it lets you regulate, and it's a very not 100% weedless. But it will pull through the grass amazingly. It should go right through wood. I didn't really throw it in and around a bunch of wood, but it's just an awesome bait that I'm telling you guys. We were on a kind of a finicky bite again that day. That this little dude like that, like when the day was done, I felt just as confident that I could throw this out and catch a fish. It may take me a little longer, a couple more casts than I could with the Zinkers. Now the Zinkers was on it. The Zinkers in my Canada crawl, it was game on. That bait was definitely working, but this bait was actually more fun because I could throw it out, you know, just give it a count of 5 or 6 and then start working it. Try it at different depths, and it was catching fish. I hate doing drop shots or double shots or that kind of stuff, but I will throw the shaky head, you know, with the Zinkers on it. But and I like to throw it with a 16th ounce. This thing, with just that little bit of weight or whatever, this thing casts like a bullet, sinks fairly quick, can be worked pretty fast. It can almost be used like a search bait. If you're going fairly shallow, like you can make some pretty fast casts. You can't go, it's almost like a spinnerbait speed close if you're not burning a spinnerbait. If you're just, you know, slow cranking a chatterbait or a spinnerbait, this isn't far off that pace. It's not rattle trap speed or anytime you're burning, because you can't really burn. You try to burn this, it takes away its effectiveness. It's more of you can twitch it hard and kill it and then, you know, erratically work it, but a little slower than those. But awesome little bait that costs you virtually nothing. If you've already got these or you wanted to try these, get them. Should be able to do the same thing like I talked about in the video. I should be able to take the 4-inch and whatever hook I've decided that I'm running like this. You know, I wouldn't recommend. I don't know. I guess you could try it with that on. I don't think it would have the same effect, but I don't know. Probably wouldn't hurt it. But whatever size hook you're running on the 4-inch, or you could probably even do it BFS style with the little 3-inch, and just when the tail gets ripped off of them, spin it around. Spark shad should have the same action. I'm thinking. I can't just tell you if any other swim bait or any of these styles, these will probably not do the same thing. This one might though. I mean, I haven't tried one of these bigger ones. I've got this big dude here, and I've got even that crazy bigger one that came from AliExpress. Makes this one look small, and they make these bigger. That's just, I think, all that they had when I was up at Rogers. I think these are 5.7. I don't know, whatever these are. So, any more questions? We are going to go fishing this weekend, me and Charles. We're going to try to go. We have luck and then bad luck. Like, it never fails. And you guys comment also. Like, you never fails. You get a good fishing spot to fish, and then you lose another one, or back and forth or whatever. So anyway, I think we've lost one of our good fishing spots. It was awesome for chatterbaits. That's why I'm going to miss it the most. Anytime there's a good spot with grass for chatterbaits and I lose that spot to fish, that sucks. But I think we're going to try to hit another grass pit for chatterbaits. I don't know if any of these baits will come. I'm going to try these. I think swimming these around some grass could get some vicious big fish hits. If we go to that one, probably won't have any of the hard-bodied swim baits, anything with trebles. If you guys remember, that's the place we hit before. First big fish I caught with the poison adrena, that video and stuff. Going to try to go back and hit that place again. And then maybe somewhere else on Sunday. But it's going to be hot, so we'll probably go early morning, get a noon to 2, just depends on when we get hot, call it good. And then possibly put together some other kind of video or whatever. But I'm trying to figure out how to change this channel to where I am still doing exactly what I'm doing, but we're getting more views. So I've been watching a lot of videos. You guys comment, and I've even made fun of myself for telling people watch language, cutting out cuss words, this and that. And I don't like a lot of cussing, period. I'll get on a ramble every once in a while. You'll hear me start cutting, basically just because I think it's so stupid, so I'll start cussing more. But instead of editing out all that, you guys let me know what your comments are, or just some of that stupid footage. Would you guys rather see some of that, or you keep it kind of how I have them, or whatever? Because I am going to change something. I don't know what. I'm just going to try a little different, because this channel, we're growing, but I feel we should just be bigger. I feel Bass and Bonsai has good enough content that it should be, instead of 200 to 400 views for the first month, 2 months, a lot of videos just never go past that. 300 to 500, they're just, that's all they've had for the last. And then some of my older, just a year or two ago, like 78 views, and they just ride there. And some of those I feel are the most informational videos. And I don't know why they just didn't stick. Like, they didn't get a lot of views. And I know I put way too many out there. It could be another thing, because some of these channels are only putting 1 to 2, some 3 a week. When I get on a roll, I'll put 5 to 7 out a week, plus 3 to 5 live streams in that said week. Right? We got lot of stuff to talk about. Some of it's the same old stuff, but some of it a little new take on it. And when I put out a video, there's basically 2 things I'm trying to achieve. To inform someone. Doesn't have to be all you guys. Doesn't have to be all 8,970. We got a bunch. We're almost to 9,000. But if one of you goes, aha, and it, whether it teaches you something or gives you the want to go try something or whatever, not spend money, but to, maybe try something you got in your box, or give something else a different try, or whatever, then I feel I'm kind of doing my job on that part, as far as putting some information out there. Not necessarily a teaching channel, but if you're learning something, then we're doing something right. And if you're getting a little laugh out of it here or there, or you're having fun watching the videos, which unfortunately how I fish, you're probably getting some fun out of that, because I've been known to scream when a bass hits right at the boat. I've been known to hook myself, whack myself in the head. That is all. None of that's scripted. That's what happens when you're out fishing. You guys know the deal. You guys had it happen to you. Throw your rod in the water like a moron. It's just stuff that happens. So that's one thing I'm not going to do. We're not going to like go in there and act goofier than we should, just to try to get more views. But I am going to look at, filming in a different way. I'm also going to try to look at different ways to edit. I don't even know what to do, because that's one, if there's one thing about this whole process at Bass and Bonsai that I suck at, it's this whole computers and editing videos and all that kind of stuff. I am not good at that. I do it, but that's just because I don't have anybody else to do it, and can't afford it. And if I could, I'd still be way too tight to pay anybody to do it, right? So, also looking at some point getting, changing up a bit, getting a different boat. I've had bigger boats in the past. I don't know. I've just got my mind on like a tournament 175 bass tracker. I want an aluminum boat. I don't think I want fiberglass. Matt is, I think, going to get another bass boat, full bore tournament style bass boat. He wants to do tournaments again. Wants me to do some of the buddy tournament. Anytime there's a 2-man tournament, which I'm in. Just he's got to, if his stuff goes right, where he can get that again, because he had a nice one before. If you guys remember the few videos where we were in the Skeeter, and he had the live scope and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, if I had I would have live scope, but that would be further down my list. The one that I just have always been wanting to buy, and I need to just stop being tight and even buy it, just even if I put it on my little boat, and then I could always transfer it to a bigger boat. I like the 360. I like the idea of looking out and, here's a grass line in the grass, or whatever, tree line, whatever, sticking out, and I can see it. But then 10 or 12 foot out, here's another one, but then it's broken up, or it's broken stump field, or whatever, and I can't see that. I like the idea of, as I'm moving, I've always liked that idea, even more of even showing me the fish, because a lot of times, even that live scope, it'll show you, and whether it's showing you fish or not, until you really get in tune with them on what the fish are or not. Like, my idea of fishing is throwing a bait out there, not 100% sure if they're, like, you need to find the bass. I sometimes feel when it's totally electronically done for you, it's a form of cheating. I get it. I like something to show me the bottom, what's there, it saves you time, but you still have to make a cast to that stump, you know, because it could be one around on the other side of it or whatever as you're coming up to it. Because anybody, they've had it for years. I've had the technology for years. I could be coming over here and they're like, oh, that looked good. And like, oh, circle back around. You know, it just takes all this extra time. If it's out in front of your boat while you're going down the bank, 20 foot, 40 foot off the bank, out in the middle of nowhere, you know, and you can kind of see what's out there in that, you know, deeper than, say, 6 foot kind of thing. Because normally anything 8 foot or shallower, all those electronics are kind of out the window. Those don't do a ton of good. So anyway, I myself though would probably rather have just a bigger boat with a 25 horse motor to go to Giacomo or some of these places that are closer to me, and I can cover more water and just be a little more comfortable. My little boat is comfortable for small bodies of water. The minute you need to move and get to a different spot, like I don't know if you guys are familiar with the size of Lake Giacomo, or you know, just a small lake, but it's a lake. Once it's called a lake and it's truly the size of a lake, even though they're small, there's Watkins Mill, there's Giacomo, Prairie Lee, Blue Springs Lake. There's several of them around here. They're not big, but in a little trolling motor, even electric boat, you're gonna not be able to go fish one end and go, oh, you know what? Let's go back and try that again because they should be reloaded. And you try to go. You got basically just got to start at one end and go until you basically are timed to where if you time it coming back, you'll be done. And you may cover, even if you can go around at one time in an 8-hour period, that's not what you want. Ideally, if you're covering a body of water, you want to be able to run, honestly, to almost either one end of the lake to the other or one end of where you started. You know, you've got a, you know, you go to a huge lake, even with a big 220 horse motor, you kind of have to have your limitations on, okay, how far this way or that way can I go and still fit in either my tournament time or my just fishing day time that I plan on being out fishing. You know, I don't want to run however many miles here and there's no way I can make it back before, you know, 10 or midnight or whatever. So you kind of have to have that deal, which with my little boat, you're not going to get very far in an 8-hour day. It'll cover a lot, but you'd have to literally start on a certain speed and then just be going and going, you know, and you can get however far in, have a timer thing like, okay, turn around and go right back. Then you're cutting out all that time to get back. Could have been fishing time if you had something, you know, just a bigger boat on a bigger body of water. So at some point, I don't know when, may look into that. I've already kind of looked at a few, spotted, kind of got a rough idea. Everything nowadays is way higher than it should be. The cost of everything is in shortage. Swim baits, there's a shortage of them. Not enough people are making them. That's why everybody's copying them. There's still a shortage of toilet paper. You guys need to run out there and buy all the toilet paper you can so nobody else has any. No, don't do that. We are in this ammo. Everybody's hoarding ammo. I've been watching quite a few gun shows. I used to watch them. I started watching a few more again. I may get a gun. I may actually have Charles at some point. We've talked about it. We've honestly, me and Charles have talked about this for years. Charles, he's a gun owner. I would love to build an AR-15 platform or something. Not really build. There's not really building to it. You build it, you call it building it, but basically you order all the different parts and it's put together. You're not making the parts. It's not as complicated, I guess, as building a hot rod to where you got to put the whole motor together. Pistol or, you know, AR platform is easier in this modern stuff they have. Like, you don't really have to be a gunsmith to go in there and change this and that parts. It's all made to where they interchange together. Or just get some sort of gun or whatever. But anyway, I've been watching YouTube, right? You guys watch some of the YouTube gun shows. I'm sure some of you guys that watch Bass and Bonds, I also watch like Hickok 45. I think, is that his name? That old dude. He's been doing it forever too. He's nuts. And my favorite though, which when I remember first starting watching that dude, Grand Thumb, that dude, just the way he talked, I was like, this guy, something's not right with this guy. But the more I watch the show, especially now, like he's gotten more, maybe just wasn't used to the camera. Because I went back and watched some of my old videos, and I'm like, dude, you're a moron. So it's all about, getting used to camera, working your hands in front of the camera when you don't have your face in there, that kind of stuff. But definitely information on all those kind of things. If you guys are into, I don't know, there's so many out there, so many everything. I found out today, I searched Whopper Plopper. I'm like, I'm going to search Whopper Plopper and see how long it takes me to find a Bass and Bonsai video. Dude, I was like 10 minutes. That was just going by. Well, it probably wasn't 10 minutes, but felt like it. It took forever. Finally, a Bass and Bonsai video popped up. But honestly, on my TV, and on my TV, it should have somewhat of a search history to pick up a Bass and Bonsai video. It should throw them in there just because I click on them to rewatch videos I put out to see how they did and that kind of stuff. So one of the reasons why this channel isn't growing is nobody other than just stumbling upon it, doing a search, happens to look for, and they'll tell me that on the phone, how did they come to this video? And so that's why when I put out a video and talking about certain things, I try to put as many of those little keywords in there as I can to when I'm talking about something, and try not to use it as clickbait kind of thing, right? So, any other questions? Uh-oh, somebody's here. Is that you, Jay? I'll turn this air conditioner back on. Jay, I thought you lived in Florida. Jay is never in Florida. Checking in from North Carolina. I have no idea why I don't have more. He thinks... Oh, Jay's saying I should have more subscribers and he can't help me. Sure you can, Jay. Dude, you're like in every state. Every other month. Maybe we need to get a sign put on your vehicle you're in. Or on your suitcases. Something. No, it can get frustrating. What's honestly the most frustrating thing about when you put yourself out there, whether it be on your own Facebook and your own family. I have way too many friends on Facebook. I don't even know those people. That whenever you're doing something and then you get that just one or two, like I try not to read the comments, but I feel I need to because, some of you guys are asking me questions. So if I feel a question, I do kind of read them, and there's so, let's be honest, there's so little that I do have time to read them. But I can see where once somebody gets popular and you get like 5,000 comments on a video, there ain't nobody reading all those comments. But sometimes, and there's always the meatheads out there that just have the negative, like I've made fun of it before. It's like you go through all that, you go out, film, you make a video, you're like, oh, this is some good footage. You go in there and you edit it for at least 2 hours. And you think, oh, that's pretty good. And then your intro, you add a little bit of clip of some music that honestly you've checked and you can still be monetized. And then, but your editing system, right? Your editor didn't sync the volumes to where it sounds loud and then it goes down. And then you get that guy and they're like, dude, the sound quality sucks. And you're like, oh man, I'm going to jump through this phone and smack you around kind of thing, right? I mean, we can't do that. You can't smack people. Not in the United States. Well, unless you get a license for it, then you can. So yeah, we are... you guys comment. Would you like to see me build some sort of gun? Are you guys gun owners? Do you not believe in guns? I'll tell you this right now. I 100% believe that if someone legally can carry a gun, have a gun, own a gun at their house, can legally have it on their persons, aren't like they have other issues to why they can't, then that's what they should be able to do. If they want to protect themselves with it, they want to go out hunting, they want it just for sport. It's a free country. If we're going to still be a free country, I can't say that, like, why you can't. I'm not even going to go into, should there be stronger gun laws? I think there should be. I think the gun laws we have should be enforced by competent people. No matter how great, it's kind of like and I'm going to use Grand Thumb, which I think his real name is Mike Jones, says no matter how great the gun is, if you don't have practice and training in it, it's useless, right? It's not good because you don't know what you're doing. And I'm going to use that term to talk about the laws. No matter how excellent a gun law, the gun laws are set up to make it fair and even for everybody, to keep everybody as safe as we possibly can. When you have people out there enforcing them, and honestly, the gun owners that are, whether they're selling to other people or whatever, like, if you got a gun and it's legal to sell it to somebody, doesn't mean you have to. Like, we all know the characters. We've all seen them. We've all seen the guys like, maybe you shouldn't own a gun. I'm going to tell you a quick story because I hate to dog people, but I was at a gun show, I don't know, 10 years ago. And these two guys, young kids, they were probably in their early 20s. They were going around and I'm like, these dudes should probably not own guns. So I don't know. When it comes to gun laws, I get it. But then again, I don't know. I'm not even getting in on that because right at this moment, I don't even currently own a gun. These guns are lethal weapons. No, I'm just playing. Watch too many Bruce Lee movies. But there's no way. I'm just going to be quiet right there. This is Bass Bonsai. We are bass fishing. I'm not even getting into guns unless I just turn this channel into Bass Bonsai and America, right? So feel free to comment if you want to purchase a 22 long rifle and go out and shoot your swim baits. Do we want to go down that route? Let's go down this path real quick. I will give you a quick rundown on the guns I have owned. I haven't owned a bunch. I even got into cowboy action shooting. You guys search that on YouTube. Go cowboy action shooting and watch some of those videos. That was probably the funnest I've ever had with a gun. I only did it once. I went to one event. I don't even know. There's like 25, 30 people. I finished mid-pack. I practiced for maybe a week to 2 weeks. It's shooting a gun. It's just drawing, quick draw, aiming. Like you see the modern type stuff, but you're doing it with, revolvers and lever action. I think, did it have to be a 45 or it could have been it just had to be a lever action rifle, I think, and then it had to be a pump shotgun. So I had two Ruger Vaqueros, one holstered like the normal way and one like across the front, and I had fancy grips. You guys know me, the channel. My pistols were also, one was chrome plated. I think the regular Vaquero, the one that had like a cut stock had a custom antler grips cut down. Now the rifle was just what I could afford. It was a fairly cheap one. And then the pump shotgun, I don't remember which one it was. Was it Remington? I don't know. But anyway, I got the guns needed, bought some ammo, and then you guys know me. I calculated in my head, like, okay, if I want to do this, and how much ammo do I need to buy to go out and practice this and, to try to do good in the competitions. And I went, nope, too high for my blood right now. So I sold off everything. But before I did that, I managed to go and watch every Western that has ever been made for the United States market. Every Western. Every John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, even did I watch Bonanza, Cisco Kid, The Rifleman? I didn't watch them all, but I did watch a bunch just to get ideas for my outfit, right? So I ended up copying like John Wayne, of course. Who doesn't copy John Wayne? So I had like a red shirt, brown leather vest, pants that were way too freaking short. Of course, I already owned cowboy boots. I currently don't own any cowboy boots, which is weird because last 20, 30 years I've had cowboy boots, usually steel toe for work. But so, got the holsters, and I had a custom set made, but I don't even know what happened there. But I had all the stuff. Practiced briefly, went to one event, like I said, finished wherever. Those were awesome guns. But way before that, I had the Taurus 9mm. I think everybody that wanted a cheap 9mm probably owned a Taurus 9mm. I had a couple different Ruger 1022s. I had a couple fancy ones with the Volquartsen barrels. One was like more of like a target barrel. One was made carbon fiber, made to be light. Both had different scopes to kind of work for what those were. Just little fun shooting ones. I had my grandpa's old pump 20 gauge shotgun. Ended up getting stolen, but that was I inherited that. What other guns did I have? I had the crazy long mags for the 1022s, like where you could shoot them real fast. I even bought one of those things that's supposed to be like that thing. It worked, but it didn't work that great. Dude, you'd get shot and before you tried to use that like a machine gun. That was ridiculous. I traded in I bought a 1911. And I think it had just a slightly shaved grip for concealed carry. That thing, like it didn't, you shot like 3 mags through it like fairly quick. And you would get, I wouldn't call it a pain, but you could feel it in your wrist from like it had 8 rounds, I believe. And when you got done with like 3 clips, because it had one and it came with 2, and it was kind of a custom one. So I'd, kind of not speed shooting, but shooting pretty fast, and, pop that one out, stick another one in. And you get done, you'd be like, okay, I don't want to shoot that one for a while. We'll reload it later. Funnest guns, though, just out shooting target stuff, 22s by far. You can honestly, I know everybody tell you need to wear ear protection, all that, but like 22s, we've shot them for years when I was kids also. Like, they're just fun to shoot. Then I traded in, there's a place out in Raytown, Blue Steel, I believe it was called. I traded, I don't even remember which guns. I was trading him back and forth, and I got pulled over by cops one time. I had like 3 rifles in a passenger seat, and he's like, "Where are you headed?" I'm like, "Blue Steel, I'm doing some trading." So he just had to wait here. I had to, if you guys have ever been pulled over when you have a weapon kind of thing, they got to like wait for backup, this and that, go through a whole hassle. I'm like, dude. So anyway, I got an AR 15, I believe it was. I don't know. At the time, I knew what it was, but it was a pretty fancy one. And that thing was kind of fun, but it wasn't as fun as the Vorkortsens. The decked out 22s are just fun to shoot. And it's not a recoil thing. It's just the overall, just ease of everything. You're still shooting a gun, but it's just fun to shoot. And the ammo's like way cheaper. Back then, it was insane. I should have just bought as much as I could have borrowed the money to buy, and I'd be selling it now, making a killing. Because I don't even know, like the big blocks. You could just go to Cabela. You could go anywhere. Big blocks of 22 ammo was cheap. I want to say I could shoot all day for $10. It was insane. Now, the ammo's crazy. Oh yeah, Eddie's talking about. Yeah, see, that's what, I don't know what, as far as, because let me put it to you this way. Dude, there's been some shady stuff goes on forever. Let me tell you, I bought this old gun from a guy. No lie. Dude tried to sell me a grenade. I have no idea where he got it. I didn't want to test it. He held it out. It looked like a grenade. Like the bottom, it wasn't drilled out. He swore up and down it was live. He wanted like a crazy amount of money. I didn't want to buy it anyway. I wouldn't have bought it if it was $100. I didn't want to be around it. I was like, I want to see it. I looked at it and I'm like, it's good enough for me. I didn't even touch it. I just had him move it around and I got away from him. Like, no, I don't know where he got the grenade. There's still, I guess people bring stuff back from whatever wars or whatever. And, there's just stuff out there. But, so I don't even get into all that on, legal, illegal, whatever. No one needs to own a grenade. Absolutely no reason to own a grenade. Like, smoke, that kind of stuff, I can see you don't need to own a grenade. Guns, yes. Does everybody need to own a gun? I don't know about everybody needs to own a gun. I will tell you this. I think everybody needs to be taught in school about guns, how they work, the basics, basically. I think that's just something that should be done. Same thing with cars. I think that little class in driving school is just not enough. What's the one thing that majority of people will be out doing? It's not shooting a gun. It's not going fishing. It's driving an automobile. Now, yeah, I know some are going to argue, well, there's some people in the city, they never drive. True that. Majority of people, in order to get along in society nowadays, has to drive a car. And you show me the training they have to take in order to drive said car is very limited. And it's very limited on as they get older. I've seen some old people, no offense, because I'm getting up there too. But I hope I have my own sense when I can realize I shouldn't be driving a vehicle anymore that should not be driving a car. And I feel there's more of a danger in that. But there's also danger, like you've seen it. I've seen it on YouTube. I've watched YouTube videos like that clown does not need a gun in his hand. He has no concept of true, you know, first of all, keep your finger out of, I guess I'll give you guys a quick, if you want a quick, I don't even have a gun. Quick gun safety lesson. Never put your finger inside anywhere around that trigger unless you're ready to use it. You're ready to fire that gun at something. Keep your trigger out. I forget, there's even a name for it. I can't, it's on the tip of my finger, but I can't remember the name of it. You know, but control over that. And then you just never aim the barrel. If you're aiming the barrel at something, you should be intending on shooting that. Otherwise, it is intentionally kept out of direct contact with somebody. So basically, if say you're in a said house, apartment type thing, and there's an upstairs or downstairs, you wouldn't be aiming it straight down because most guns can shoot right through floors or right through whatever. So in those kind of situations, it should never even be loaded unless you are, you know, and out. Like if you're concealed carry and it's in your back, that's something else. But like if you are going to take it out to show somebody, the first thing should be done is it should be unloaded, and that's things that should be taught. Like you should probably know how to unload a gun, which is if it's got a clip, take the clip out and then, you know, make sure there's not a live round in it. And then honestly, if you're handing a gun to somebody that doesn't know anything about guns, first of all, you probably shouldn't. But if you do, I would honestly recommend disabling the gun to where it couldn't accidentally get a shell, somehow just miraculously flip into it and be shot. Because in the wrong hands, guns are very unsafe. They can be, you know, they're a gun. They're an inanimate object that is like this. There's no problem with that. You put this around a little kid or a dog or a cat that doesn't know any better and start chewing on this becomes very dangerous. So anyway, I'm done talking about that. If you guys got any questions about gun safety, go see Grand Thumb and comment in there that tell him Bass Bonds I sent you. Yeah, well, here's the thing. Like, you know, when I sold all my stuff off guns wise, I just sold it to, and I wouldn't even think about selling fishing tackle to an individual. I don't care. I just sell it to whoever comes up with the money I want for it. But I'll be honest, if I bought a 9mm gun and I want to sell said 9mm gun, and some shady looking character, oh, I'll buy your 9mm gun. You know, my girlfriend's being a, you know, what, like, dude, I'm not selling to that guy. And I'm not saying that would happen, but I'm just saying when, you know, you and everybody, because there's people, and a criminal's going to get a gun. There's people that will go out and steal guns and to sell them to other criminals, other thieves, and other stuff. But as far as a lot of the stuff that's gone on, like you could clearly see that some people shouldn't have a gun. That's just like some people shouldn't be driving. Some people shouldn't have kids. I mean, it's that simple. But in America, you know, everybody's, you know, innocent until proven guilty. We all have our freedoms and this and that. So it is, I understand there could be a tight, like, well, what the hell do you do to solve these problems? Especially when you have two sides that are like, there ain't no budge. Like, we ain't giving. Nobody's giving. Like, you're not taking one of my guns. We're taking all of your guns. You're not even taking any of my whatever. And it's like, oh, God, this is like ridiculous. Same thing with a lot of things in our politics. I'm not getting into all that, but I will give you my 2 cents on guns. Yes. Guns can be bad or good. It depends on the people using them. If it's good people, it's usually good. Bad people, it's usually going to end bad. Just like a vehicle, drugs, all that kind of stuff. Give a doctor a drug to give to somebody the right dose, best thing in the world. Give it to someone else that's maybe, you know, some doctors are known to do it, sell or write prescriptions they shouldn't be, and it could be very bad. Right? Medical marijuana, it's going to save the world. I don't think so. So anyway, I'm out here, guys. I'm gonna probably try to edit another video. I still have like 4 to 5 days of fishing videos. Didn't catch any giants, so I'll be honest, I'm not in the big. We didn't like learn any brain, like amazingly new things other than this crazy thing. That thing surprised me. But a lot of baits were working, a lot of baits weren't. Chatterbaits still will get hit. Oh, one other thing. Gosh dang it. Charles, you should have reminded me. To date, where's it at? A couple things. So the video where you saw the clips of this, we also figured out that bait that I thought was not a good color actually didn't do too bad, because we found out they were crawdads that had orange on them. So I put that on that orangey colored chatterbait, and it actually worked. Like we caught some fish on it. Will I probably be buying any more? No, but that color, and it's pretty clear water, so this color will work, but it's just not a color that speaks to me. And then this frog does not speak to me. I glued the legs on, fixed the little springy thing so it doesn't catch, but it's just, it doesn't 100%, like you'll cast it out. Sometimes it'll start out upside down. It takes a couple pulls and then it'll work its way back, and it'll look cool when it's coming through the water, but it's one of those, like, dude, the best frogs are still, in my opinion, the ones with the popping face, because I can walk them just as well as I can the ones without. So it's still, whether it be the Spro's got one, the Booyah Poppin' Pad Crasher, now the new Z-Man one, I like it pretty much. And, several of them out there. The ones for the JDM ones are probably pretty good, but that same basic hollow-bodied frog. Other than that, I would honestly rather throw even something like this, weedless, zinkers, like what Jay talked about, the ones that he sent me, the gambler ones, is an easy shiner, the ones from Reaction Innovation, skinny dippers, just weedless, weightless hook, Texas rig like style. Throw those up in and on grass on the outside edges over this. When it gets so nasty that only a hollow-bodied frog, or you need it to like float across some gunk before it can sink down. But I don't know, it takes up space in your box. You need to kind of keep the legs from getting, and it doesn't swim as good as in the videos when you're watching it. It does look pretty cool and realistic, but I think I caught one fish and he popped off right when I lifted him up to the boat. I was taking my time, but it's like, it's not that it's gimmicky, but I'm finding a lot of these, the live targets and the lunker hunt, a lot of those different baits, I think I'm gonna stop messing with them. I'm gonna stick with the basics. Hollow-bodied frog with the skirt type legs. That's just, in my opinion, that's the best. And I go from that to like either a weightless swim bait or zinkers or Cinco's type thing. You can get them right in and around all that kind of stuff and catch the fish that these novelties type baits that just take up room in your box and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure some guys probably going to love these, but I tried it. Honestly, I'm not overly impressed. I'm more impressed with these dudes out of everything I've tried here in the near recent future. Even my hard body swim baits, everything that I've pretty much tried here this season. That little dude there, in just a short time I've used it in both things, whether it's working good, this gets ripped off, and then you switch to it. I think it may be better like this. It just catches fish. It's a fish catcher. These, I'm not saying they won't. They've both. I've caught some fish, but they're just not, in this color. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I've caught a fish on it, but they just don't speak to me. The Canada Craw is kind of a hit and miss. That color, and what's weird is it seems like the clearer the water, the better that Canada Craw works. And the brighter the day. I noticed me and Charles were fishing, and I think he had peanut butter and jelly. In the shade, he was catching them, like tearing them up. And then once the sun came all the way up, that peanut butter and jelly died off and the Canada crawl was better. And the Canada crawl, while it was shaded areas, I almost couldn't catch. So I think it was the metal flake, the sparkles in that Canada crawl is what had them setting off on it. But that was definitely the bait that caught me the most fish, but I felt like this one was about as good also. So anyway, there we are. Exactly an hour. Thanks for watching. Go out and watch Bass and Bonsai videos, shooting videos, Seth Feroci, if weightlifting videos, the old John Meadows ones, Rich Piana, if you guys want to lift some weights, get some muscles, get some veins popping that you're like, where in the heck did that come from? I didn't even know I had a vein there. That kind of stuff, go do it. Whatever you do, though, make sure you have fun doing it. Oh, brew tank. I had it right at an hour, and you have to chime in. Ooh, Jay's going trout fishing. Good luck. Yeah, the way to cast these frog legs off are easy. You just cast so hard that you know your reel's going to backlash, not glued on. They just go. They shoot straight off. I glued them on. I didn't have it really a backlash, but I don't think they'll pop off once I put a drop on top of each one, pop them back on. But this frog just doesn't speak to me. I thought I'd really like it. I watched that video, I'm like, dude, game on. Got it, and I'm like, eh. Just the fact that it'll land upside down. So that means you can't really throw it. You got to throw it like on the edge of gunky stuff, because if it lands upside down, that hook's exposed. Not good. And it'll stay upside down. Like you could say, oh, I throw it in this clearing, and then just work it across this. Well, it may, I don't know. It's just, no. It's a no for me, dog. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. More videos coming. See ya.